There's so much ghosting, it's rubbish, this LCD. The console's fine though.
I'd really like a Super Nintendo Portable, because then I'd be able to pick up my games and play them whenever I want, without having to set up a console.
There are aftermarket ones online, but they're always super expensive, so I reckon I'm going to make my own. First, I'm going to need a Super Nintendo. I've got lots of screws to take out, which I'll spare you the boredom of. Take the top off. Hopefully won't need the controller ports. I was hoping this wasn't one of these. Early Super Nintendos had this module here. All this module here is for is to process the audio. Without it, I could have made this a lot smaller, but I'm still using this one. Power switch, that's too big. RF shielding, that's overrated. Now I'm going to pull the motherboard out. Or just the cartridge port. Forgot that happens. Out. Get rid of that. So we want to make this portable, right? So I want to make it as small as I can. That means taking off all this stuff on the back that I don't need. The whole piece of aluminium here is just here to take heat away from this guy, which I've already desoldered. Without the heatsink, it'll get too hot and burn out. I'm going to throw it away. Now I can get rid of this heatsink. Heatsink, go away. I want to get rid of the reset switch because I don't need a reset switch, and it's where I want to be holding it. I want this to be a handheld like this. Still want to make it smaller. I'm going to take this stuff off. This is the RF modulator. So this turns the video signal into a TV station basically, so you can tune it in. No one uses these anymore. Don't need a power switch. Well, we do. We don't need that connector. Just cleaned up the edges in here. I'm going to try and solder this on to stop that from falling off, because that'll be very annoying. Got some ugly soldering on there, and the cartridge port stays on there now. That's good. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to pull this apart too. The stupid thing being big and not what I wanted, but it's there. As far as I'm going with that. Now, same deal with the controller. I'm going to pull that apart. I'm using more of the controller than I am of the console. Not those bits though. So what's in a Super Nintendo controller? Just getting rid of these two resistors means that it'll work on an NTSC console. It says here only P, and it's very highlighted. Whoops, scratch right across the board. That's a really good idea. Just finishing off measuring how the cable is wired. And that's this one. What I'm doing is I'm connecting this directly to the motherboard without having all of this stuff, the cable in between. And now I've got a diagram that shows how the controller board is wired through these connections, through this connector, out here, into here, and then out of here, into here. Thinking about it, I probably could have skipped this part by leaving this plugged in when I did all the measurements and just gone straight from here to here, but that's not what I did. So to make this thing portable, we need a screen, don't we? So I got the cheapest one I could find on eBay, and it's terrible and it's the wrong aspect ratio, but let's go with it. Don't need any of this. Don't need that. What we're left with is this, and I'm going to take this board off of here too to make it even flatter. Am I? Do I care? I probably don't care. No. Do I care? I don't know if I care. I think I do. And I also think I care about this. That's a shame. I'm going to have to get rid of that. I've already masked it off with Kapton tape. Kapton tape is this stuff which is heat resistant, so it means that I can use the heat gun with minimal damage to other things. Just before I do though, I'm going to just try and... Oh, my screws. I'm gonna try and break it to see if I can get it off without damaging other things. Which I think is actually kind of working. Yeah, this will work. That did not go in the bin. That did. Well, I masked it off for no reason, but at least you learnt what Kapton tape was. So that'll go somewhere around about there-ish. For the sound, I've got a speaker that I got out of a fitness machine of some sort. I've got a tiny little baby amplifier. For power, I'm gonna cheat a lot, and I'm just gonna attach that to it. I've got this to power the screen that steps up the voltage to 12 volts. Now I just gotta put it all together, I suppose. I've just noticed that I've pretty much removed the whole power section already anyway, so there's a few components here that aren't even connected to anything. So I'm going to remove them to make room for converter boards and sound amp and that sort of stuff. That was the smoothing capacitor for the old linear power supply, which we're not using. Desoldering stuff's annoying. I don't like it. It's not let's just make the whole board smaller. There we go. That hit the ceiling and fell back down on my desk. This used to be a router. I like this power switch. I'm going to use it. This is the main board out of an old TV. I like these buttons. So these are going to be my L&R buttons. I want this PCB to stay in here without the back on. I'm going to squish over these posts with a soldering iron. I actually do this in some stuff from the factory, so I don't feel too bad about it. Really hope I don't have to disconnect the PCB from the controller for some reason. More trimming. I do prefer reversible mods, but this one was never going to be reversible. Let's make it even more not reversible. Unreversible, irreversible. There we go. Hot glue's the best. I think I'll insulate the board a bit. All the hot glue. I like it. It's stupid. So many hot glues. I'm getting stuck to it. I don't want to play with it. Oh, I gotta put it down. It's getting glue on me. And get rid of these lugs. My trigger's not very good. Who needs a trigger? Somewhere over there. Speaker output. We've got our speaker and our amplifier. And more hot glue for sure. Always hot glue. Always hot glue. So many hot glues. So many hot glues. Connecting up the audio stuff at the moment. I'm going to add the video wire. Duct tape, duct tape. Gonna make it look pretty. I'm going to stick the L&R buttons on the power bank, so I'm just feeling where a good spot for it would be. I reckon all the way down. And here's a scrap USB cable off I don't know what. There we go. I haven't really decided where I want the power switch, but I suppose it doesn't really matter that much. Probably up here somewhere. That's power. That's ground. Now I'm going to put in the little power supply that's going to run the audio and the LCD. And of course, it requires more hot glue. Power bank just turned on. Grab the 12 volt. Connect the 5 volts to the motherboard. You know, we might get sound out of this if I turn this on now. Super Mario All-Stars is running right now. That's so cool. Back to boring soldery stuff things. L&R buttons going on. The screen. It's time for the screen. Well, I've put the sound amp exactly where I want this to be. So that's good. The speaker is also in my way. I hope this doesn't damage anything. There we go. Now, hot glue time. Of course it's hot glue time. It's always hot glue time. I just have to wire up the screen and then I can try it. This is a horrific solder blob. So, I've done a real silly thing here. I thought the wire that I had previously connected to video, because it was hanging out down near the L button wire, I thought it was a ground that I'd connected before. So now I've got video connected to my L&R buttons. Still long enough. That's okay, it's not too bad. Now I just need to find a ground for the L&R buttons. Any grounds in here? Probably. That's not ground. That is. Before I tidy it up, I want to see if it works. A game that'll be familiar to a lot of people. We heard it before, but now hopefully we're going to play it. Hopefully. Very, very hopeful. Oh, it's looking very happy. So you know what mistake I've made. I never tested this console. I think it's going to be the video capacitors. It's annoying. Wasn't supposed to be part of this video, but there we go. When you hear that beep, it means where I've connected to over here is connected to wherever I'm poking the other one. Like there. But also there. I thought that it would only be one. You know what? I'll replace those two and see what happens. These capacitors are the cheapest garbage off eBay. They're probably not even the right value. Don't use cheap capacitors off eBay. A couple of new capacitors in there, let's see what happens. Is it better? It's better! Yeah! This LCD's awful. It works! Now it's time for many duct tapes and all of the hot glue. Oh no, I've also covered up my charge port. Look, I can even charge my phone here. That's how we charge the SNES. Now, if it wasn't one with the external stupid audio thing, it'd be done now. Except for this bit. There's our volume control in there, which very conveniently you need to use a screwdriver for, but genuinely conveniently has a power light. Just decided this is going to fit in here. Kind of want to fill that gap too. It's a piece of the LCD frame. Ow, 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 that's hot. Just gonna add some finishing touches. I reckon it's pretty much done. Vol. Power. On. Off. Chug. Usp. I love the extra glitchiness stuff here. I plugged it into a different screen and it does that on this LCD. It doesn't do it on the other screen. Luigi's the best. I love how the previous screen stays on the screen. You can still see select game from the main menu. Get what you pay for in the way of an LCD for sure. Yeah, Luigi power. No one else can make that jump. And that's a win. It works. I've got a portable SNES now. Check out its portability. I love these sharp edges. They jam into my hands really nicely while I'm playing. If I was to have an external controller, which I don't, it would be nice to play like this. I suppose it's still pretty nice to play like this. If you like putting stress on your cartridges. I love putting stress on my cartridges, so that's great. I've finally found a way to play Game Boy games on the go. Oh, check out that voice. Revolutionary. Spiro. 74 experience points, yeah. Portable SNES!